Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever you're watching me right now. My name is Jay Luke, the owner and operator of the Passionates Network, and I'm also the host of Talk That Talk. Remember, you can get any of our merchandise right here on this channel. There should be like this little thing that comes up across the bottom. Just click on it. Just click on it. Go ahead and pick up any of our merchandise. Remember, you can get 30% off your purchase. Just type in the promo code HBCUBAND. You can get 30% off your purchase. Just type in HBCU band. Also, remember, man, go ahead and hit the like and give me that thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Man, I had to bring it up, right? Because it's happening in the news, right? And it's Luke's band report. So this has been going around, and we're not gonna get through the whole thing because it's about 12 minutes long. We're not gonna get through the whole thing, but we're gonna watch a little bit of it. We're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna react to it. So let's just get to it.
Welcome, as we are about to embark on our homecoming week of festivities, which the band is intimately involved in throughout the week. We have a very, it's a good word for it, impactful and packed week as far as events. But we're going to talk about how the season has progressed and what has brought us to this point today. We had a very eventful summer, starting with the National Battle of Bands, and of course, Band King.
I got to get through it because he did start out with going through what happened throughout the year and so on and so forth.
Band camp was very interesting this year. I think this is one of the hottest years on record in Texas. So not only did we have to deal with the heat and at one point displacement until, as you can see behind me, our new temporary band rehearsal facility, which is about 10,000 square.
Shout out to the facility, by the way. Shout out to the facility. I haven't been there yet, but according to what I've heard, it's definitely enough space to house the program. So I'm glad that they were able to acquire that. So shout out to the staff at PV and PV for getting them that facility.
Square feet of usable space to have rehearsals. So that really impacted our rehearsals in a wonderful way. And we'd like to thank our president, Dr. LeGrand, and our administration for providing such a wonderful place for us to practice, and so we can get a fully functional band rehearsal facility. Going into the National Battle of Bands, the band was really excited. We had a great showing. A couple things that I would like to improve, and of course we will improve from that performance. And then we went into Labor Day. Labor Day was quite the fiasco. In fact, there's some wonderful videos of me, quote unquote, calling the police, and I want to bring that to your attention first, because I know one of the things that I think as a band director where I can improve is being vocal. My personality does not allow me, or it does not lead me to be responding to people all the time, because once again, as I say about people on the internet and people that I know, in order for me to respect your opinion, I must respect you.
So let me first start off by saying this. So all of you all know who watch this channel, who are subscribed to this channel, who've never seen this channel before. Dr. Zachary, back when I knew him, is Mr. Zachary, and before, when I first met him, he was called Tim Crusher, but that's a completely different conversation. Was my trumpet instructor at Norfolk State, and then transferred to him actually being my boss at Prairie View A&M University. So for those of you who don't know, I was an assistant band director at PV from 2012 to the fall 2017 year or spring 2017 year, one of those. He's known me for more than half my life at this point. And I was connected to the Prairie View band and its staff, and many people who are still at the staff and in the Prairie View band room at this particular time. So with all that being said, he's absolutely right. He has not ever been a vocal person. That's just never, if you talk to him face to face, like I've said before, he does not mince words. That's never been a person that he is. He's very direct on what he says, but he's always been the person where he's just not going to get out there. So the fact that he's doing this, when I saw it, just was a complete shock. And I said that once before, but I really just thought that this was a shock. So the fact that he's putting it out there is really interesting to me.
And I want that to sink in. As a person with 28 years of experience as a collegiate band director and close to 40 years as a professional musician, you would have to have some very high standards, or you would have had some really high milestones in your life and career in order for me to have, quote unquote, respect for your opinion in this field. Let's start with our performance after the National Battle of the Bands, the Labor Day Classic here on our wonderful campus at Prairie View University. I thought the band did a great job of preparing for that performance, and the audience response was phenomenal, overwhelming for the halftime show. And then we got to the fifth quarter, which, to me, once again, in order to remain professional, and I do this in my own life, I don't need to put you down in order to pick myself up. I don't need to make you feel bad in order for me to feel good. In fact, that's a psychosis. And for those of you who don't know what it is, you should look it up on the internet. But I will say this. There's a certain point that we have to get to as college professionals, band directors, that we understand when we enter agreement that we do that. And that's all I'll say about that. But I will digress and talk about the person that put me on the internet in a video.
So I know what he's talking about, and one of the things that I know that I talked to, I think we had this conversation on Talk That Talk when we were talking about if the person or the band director leaves or whatever band leaves early, do they get that L? And I remember the conversation was if said band, if specifically if it's your home band, but if said band got to get out of there because they've had a conversation with the AD, they've had a conversation with security, whatever. They have to do what is in the ramifications of the decision that they made with said people. So the fact that he brought that up, I mean, it's really, honestly, I mean, he just brought it up, and I mean, it's not wrong. He's not wrong in that. If you make a decision amongst each other, then you should probably honor that decision. I think the other problem is, and I think I've said this before, is the fact that and we've had this conversation on Talk That Talk, we put this information out there as though we have this real bad disdainment as far as directors amongst each other. When the reality is behind closed doors, there are conversations that are had, there are deals that are not like greasing each other's pockets, but like, hey, we're going to play this many songs, or we're going to play this many songs, or that kind of thing. Even when I was a performer, when I was at Norfolk, I really didn't understand the process of how battles went until I stepped on the other side. I was under the impression that we just had a free for all and we just went back and forth. And when we were done, we were done. Until I realized that there was conversations about, all right, we're going to play this many songs. So it's just having that mutual respect for one another. And then also behind closed doors, honoring the conversation that you all had. But let's continue.
Video with my phone and said I was calling the police. I want to expose the ignorance that is associated with that video. For number one, if I were to call the police, I can call them from any geographical location on the planet. Why would I stand next to a ladder on Texas Southern side to call the police?
Got a point.
That in itself is pure ignorance. And the person that put it out there is purely ignorant. And the people that have received it in the way that they have, I won't call you ignorant, I'll just call you misinformed, which ultimately means the same thing. So I will leave that there, but let it be known what I needed to say to the band director, I said directly to him.
So what I want to do is I want to get to the meat of it, because I'm not going to say that anything else that he's saying is not meat, but there was something in here that I wanted.
People that I have to have some conversations about as we go through this week. I promise next Zcast, we're going to reel in some of our internet trolls, and you know who you are. And the Zcast after that will be about our wonderful, wonderful videographers and their disparaging use of that you can poke, because we tend to be standing and watching a cardiovascular surgeon to put you on notice. Once again, I apologize on a really great show. We hope you guys enjoy it. And that's where we are. So on the Zcast, we were going to have another one this week and talk about several other things like our internet trolls. I want to have a special session for you, and I want to put you on notice. Once again, if you've never marched in a band, or if you were only part of a bad band, or if you've never really stood in front of a good band director, what value does your opinion have? That is, comparatively speaking, the same as me standing and watching a cardiovascular surgeon do heart surgery and me critiquing them. I am a science, crazy about science. I love medicine, I love math, and those things are things that really interest me. But that does not give me the gravitas, the weight to criticize a person's skill that I know I don't have. So for all of you that have used PV as a pincushion that you can poke because we tend not to say anything back, ladies and gentlemen, with all due respect, that day is over. You will not tell us who we are. We will define who we are. I know the band plays with good intonation. I know the band plays with good balance.
So this is what I want to bring up. First of all, let me start by saying the receipts thing, like I said before, where I started the receipts thing based on the conversation that I had on Talk That Talk. But it started based on the fact that I said literally the same thing is the fact that it's really interesting the fact that people bring up PV in negative lights when we don't talk about the good things that happen at PV, right? Every band, every situation, every person is going to have some good days and some bad days, some good performances and some rough ones. And but for some reason, I could not figure out for the life of me why is it that sometimes it be like PV just be like the whipping boy of like, and that's also even while I was there. So it's not even relevant to this point, and that's why I started the receipts. But the other thing was he was talking about the opinions, and honestly, he wasn't wrong about that. When we started Talk That Talk was started in the space of addressing a lot of those issues. We addressed the same issues before. Um, Talking about the opinions of certain people and things like that, or who should have the right to be able to have those opinions and all. We've said those same things before multiple times on multiple shows. Go back and watch them. You are more than welcome to go ahead and go back and watch them, and also make sure you give a like and a thumbs up. Make sure you help that YouTube algorithm on all those shows. But what I've found in this particular time of going through this process of now, um, and I like to call myself at this point a band reporter, band analyst, so on and so forth, music educator, performer, music educator, analyst. Um, the hard part about it is that I can't stop the opinions. And that is the difficulty of the whole particular situation. Because again, what he said is not wrong. I think the thought process is just the fact that everybody's going to have an opinion. It's like buttholes. Everybody got an opinion. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the opinion is right or wrong. I think the way that I look at it is that unlike what it was when I was in school, we only had the fifth quarter at one time. And a lot of people were on the fifth quarter. A lot of people knew about the fifth quarter, but now there are multiple areas and platforms for people to be able to give off their opinions about certain things or their thoughts about certain things. So I think a lot of the opinions are a lot more outward than once was. But again, I don't think that he's wrong and the way or what he's saying. And that does bring up a deeper question, right? Like what qualifies you to be able to give that opinion? Or here's another one. What qualifies your opinion to be valid? I think that's a different way to look at it, right? What is the qualification that makes your opinion valid, and what is the thing that makes everybody want to gravitate to said opinion, right? And I think that is a bigger question. Because again, everybody's going to have an opinion. If I make a hamburger right now and 5 people or 10 people get a taste of my hamburger, everybody's going to have an opinion on how that hamburger tastes. I'll do you one even better. If 100 people outside right now are watching a parade, there are going to be 100 different opinions on what they saw in that parade, right? And that's because everybody's going to have an opinion. I think the question now becomes what makes one person's opinion valid over the other. What makes this opinion what makes someone's opinion over here be the one that we need to listen to versus the one over here where it's just their opinion. It's not that big a deal. Right. So I think the person, I think the opinion, I think the opinion itself does or does not matter, barring the person it comes from. But I think also the people who accept it are questionable too. Right? As the listener, what is it about that person's opinion that makes me want to listen to that person's opinion versus this person's opinion? There's so many different questions and thought processes on this. But again, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But I do believe that opinions are going to come from everywhere. And I think that's the hardest part. And that's what I've found going through this process is realizing that everybody's going to have an opinion. Hey, people had an opinion about what we do on Talk That Talk. Multiple opinions on what we did on Talk That Talk. I saw somebody somewhere that was like, yeah, that ain't my cup of tea. All right, that's fine. You know, and they stated their reasons why. And while I'm not going to get into their reasons why, it's just their opinion, you know. So, you know, I don't know, man. This is an interesting thing. It's a really it brings about more conversation. But again, I don't think he's wrong in what he's saying though. I don't know, man. What are you all's thoughts? Have you guys seen this? As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and leave the link to this so that you guys can watch it for yourselves. If you have not seen the full thing, I'm gonna leave it right in the description so you are more than able to go back and watch it and give your thoughts. Give your thoughts. Tell me in the comment section. Do you think he's right? Do you think he's wrong? Do you think that everybody's valid to have an opinion, or do you feel like some opinions should be weighted over others? Or here we go. Here's the question: should you be qualified to give an opinion, and what does that qualification look like? I want to see all of that down inside of the comment section. You guys let me know your thoughts. Also, remember, you can get 30% off your purchase from our store. Remember, just type in HBCU band. Also, give us a like, a thumbs up. It's a like and a thumbs up, whatever. Both of them are the same thing. But just go ahead and help that YouTube algorithm and go ahead and subscribe to the network, man. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.